So we have this, this, not only do we not know what we're good at, we have this ticking time bomb on our back. Cause a lot of times, like, you have debt, you have student debt, you have like things that you have to pay for, like in that realm, but also we don't know what else to fail at. Right. We started talking about this. Like, we don't know what risks we can take. A lot of times we then don't take any risks and, go back into coaching or go to something closer to the game. A lot of people are successful that way. I had to step away from the game because I only saw myself as a player. So if you see yourself as a player and you try to coach, you're going to be a shitty coach. And that was going to be me if I didn't step away. So that, again, in a very tactical way, not only do we not know who we are, but we don't know what to do and we don't know what to do about it. And that is a very, very, like, you feel like any way you go is going to be wrong. And that is a very hard place to be. So that, I think, is not only the identity, but the day-to-day struggle of, I really don't even know what decision to make. It's a very lonesome feeling. And I think that is a lot that I think could be solvable. That really isn't right now.
It's lonesome, and it's also paralyzing because you feel like you need to be right in whatever decision you make. And like, you've literally never had to make a decision in your past. Like, everything you did, from how you ate to how you trained to how you spent the hours of your day to what time you went to
Exactly.
bed, was like laid out for you. And even like decisions on where to go to college, like everything was laid out. And you mentioned this, like, being a baseball player. And then I think on your website you said, after being a baseball player for so long, you had to examine the fibers of who I am. And this is exactly what you're talking about. But maybe tactically, like, what are some questions or conversations that helped you get
Yeah.
clear on like who you are?
Yeah. So let's even make it more surface level than like who you are, because that's a big question. That's something I think we're always going to be defining. I mean, for me, I try to now put a lot more definition into the person that I can be, the person I'm working towards, and I put a lot, I put a lot in faith. I don't talk much about it because I don't really, I don't know. I think sometimes it becomes more of like a promotional thing rather than who you are. So I put a lot of faith and a lot about who I want to be as a person. And so what goes into the person that you want to be, right? So that's always like evolving in a way. Like, you're always working on that. So some of the questions I'm asking myself, or some of the things I'm working on, are things that I wouldn't be working on 2 years ago because I wasn't in that stage of life. I know that's very meta, but let's go very surface level, right? So when you're in, like, you don't know what to do, you're no longer a baseball player. Let's say you have a degree, right? That's great because you don't need to go back and get that. Um, I would ask, when I did ask, like, what are you interested in? And I don't mean what do you love or what do you like. What are you interested in? What is interesting to you? And that's the first step. So for me, like, I like solving things. And again, this is going to sound like elementary, right? I like solving things, and I like growing. Like, I like growing things, right? I mean, getting better at something. I like the idea of achievement. It sounds superficial, but I mean that in a very introspective way. I like seeing, being at one and then going to three. I think that is awesome, right? So with that, and we'll use my own personal example, like, I was applying to like jobs that I thought, like, okay, I think I would do well at an ad agency because I think I like the culture, whatever that means with the company. But I didn't know what to, so I was like, let's just make moves, and let's, you know, we'll sort everything out later. We'll see what happens. I thought an ad agency because, like, I'm also creative. Like, I write, like, I think that's a good fit. So I wanted to be a copywriter, right? I was like, this is perfect. Thank God that didn't work out because, one, I know there's a lot of copywriters that then turn into authors. I mean, James Patterson is a perfect example. That's not going to be me. I mean, it's very hard to write for 8 hours a day and then be like, I cannot wait to go home and sit down and write. It's a very hard thing to do. But I found this thing called SEO, where search engine optimization, and again, you don't need to know much about that. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is acquire customers and acquire users through search algorithms like Google, Bing, or anything organically. So it's not any paid ads. And I thought it was really interesting. I'm like, okay, there's an actual system that not many people know about that you got to try. Some people try to game it, which you always end up losing. But what you're actually trying to do is grow trust between a customer and a company. And I thought that was really cool. So that I was like, I was able to get an entry level job in SEO and agency. And for the record, like that's where everyone starts. It's not great work. Like your first job is not going to be great work. You're not going to be solving the world's problems as an entry level SEO at an automotive ad agency. However, I did learn even more skills. One, I learned the basics, the very basics of SEO. I mean, it wasn't that advanced, but it was very basic. I learned how to manage clients. I learned how to manage people. I learned how to work with people that may not have ever heard of SEO, and I've learned how to articulate that. So right there, I'm learning these skills that pay off dividends now, like in the work that I'm doing, of how important that is. And I was able to find that I could be good at something else. I was really good at it. Like I was so cool and so rewarding to be like, man, this company came to us and was like, hey, we want to try to get more customers. And then I was able to lead a strategy to do that. Like that helped someone's family pay for dance lessons. I thought that was the coolest shit ever. And then like scaling it up to now, in private equity, where I'm really helping to lead certain investment companies, where I'll just say like the zeros on the end of those sites are much bigger than what I used to be working on. And it's the same feeling that we can do something in the right way and be good at it. And it's interesting and it's competitive. So I would start off with that, right? Don't try to be like, man, just like let yourself find something that's interesting and try it. And dive into it, right? Apply yourself, but find something that's interesting. And then you can take the next step and then you can navigate. And I think that the next part of this is super important that a lot of people forget, is that in your career, or even if you're, a career in the arts, like you have to be able to navigate. That's part of the job. And that is scary to a lot of people. So what I mean by navigate is no one, and we'll talk corporate we'll start with corporate and then we'll go into the arts. Corporate, no one's going to care more about your career than yourself. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you're doing great work and you are applying yourself and you are a good worker, what'll happen is you'll get promoted to a certain extent. And then what'll happen, you'll miss a couple of promotions or whatnot. You'll be there for 3 years and you'll probably have to leave, right? There is a level that you will get at certain companies because ultimately those roles have to have a certain like dollar sign to them, right? Human capital management means like you can't pay pretty much you can't pay someone $1 million in the same role if you're paying someone else 40 grand, right? Like that's just not how it works. But you need to be able to be aware enough. Okay, I worked at the agency. I loved it. I'm still friends with who I worked with, and I left in 2 years, right? You got to know when it's time to move elsewhere. Same with the company, right? It's a value exchange. If you're not producing, right, and the value that you're giving is going down, that's probably when you're going to get fired. Now, if your value is way over what you're producing, right? Excuse me, if your value is way over what they're producing for you, it's time for you to either get promoted or move on. So we need to be able to navigate and know that it's okay. Like I know a lot of people that don't want to move from like a job or something that they're doing just because they think the optics won't look good. And like, that's one of the worst decisions to make. I believe that transitions are important. If you do it professionally, you say, hey, I got this great opportunity, they're going to be happy for you because that's the point. So navigation means being aware of the path that you're on. Same thing in the arts. Like a lot of people will write one book, one story, and then they kind of sit on that. There's nothing wrong with that, of saying like, hey, you want to write a book and that's it. Like that is awesome. But if you want to be a writer, like if you want to write for a living at some point, or if you want a body of work, right, you're going to have to know like, hey, this book might work. This book may not work. And then that you need to know the timing to pitch it, right? The book that I just worked on that failed, I don't believe that it's because the story isn't great. it's just not the right time to sell that story. So I'm going to revisit it in a few years, right? So you need to be able to look at it in the sense of how do we navigate this industry? So that's a very long way of saying start with what's interesting to you. And then two, find a way to navigate through the shitty side of it and navigate to a place that now you can sustain yourself. So last thing I'll say, I know this is a bit, I'll get off my my soapbox right after this. And the last thing, I'm actually, unpopular opinion, I'm actually a big fan of everyone I think should take a sabbatical. Okay. Again, doctors do it, professors do it. I think people should take a sabbatical. What I mean by that is a lot of times, athlete or not, we go from college to the pressure of, well, what job are you getting after? Or what are you doing? Right. So then we end up getting a job. It could be a great job. It could be a shitty job. And then we work because, okay, student loans are kicking in, right? You got to pay for rent. You probably have a car payment, life, right? Like we want to move up this proverbial ladder to make real money, to get financially stable and the whole nine. So we work, we'll even say you work maybe for 5 years, right? And you're working, you're moving up, you're getting promoted, maybe move to a different company, right? All these things happen. And then it hits you at a certain time that you've been working and you're not even sure what the purpose is behind the job that you're doing, but you have to do it because that's you're like, you have to sustain life. So I'm actually a big component, and I know it's very privileged to be able to say, I want to take a sabbatical. So I don't mean quitting your job for a year. I think it is very important of reflection to say, hey, maybe you take a longer vacation, right? If you have PTO, use it. Right? Again, use it. If you're working somewhere else, maybe, hey, maybe if you're your own entrepreneur, be like, hey, maybe I'll try to take a few more days for myself. And in those days, really think about what does the next 2 years of doing this look like? And what does the next 20 years of doing this look like? And a lot of times they'll come back by saying, this is what I want to do. And this is great. And you'll have a new vigor of what you do. Or it might be, hey, might need a transition because the purpose is really sucking me dry. Right. So that I think it's important. Like I call it a sabbatical, but it's just an intentionally taking time off intentionally rather than just saying like, oh, I'm going to veg on Netflix for a week and then go back to work.
I'm probably going to steal that idea. And when you first said sabbatical, I was like, okay, that's pretty aggressive. But it is just more intentional reflection
Yeah.
in assessing like where you're at, and hey, maybe it's time to pivot, or use your word, time to navigate this next like whatever few years.